Scion of the Seventh Dawn? Very well, you may wait in the corridor. Of course, entry will only be permitted on the condition you leave your armaments at the door. Lest you forget, this sacred institution holds rational discourse in the highest. The implements of war are expressively forbidden. There you go. We're here to talk about the end of the world.
There is a matter I wish to raise with you before we enter. We are here to listen and to learn. But if the Forum's plans are more or less what I expect, then I should like to make a proposal that will serve our ends. By your leave, of course.
I don't see why not. Your words and wits have gotten us this far.
Agreed. I will present our queries so that you may consider the most advantageous way to advance your proposal without distraction.
Thank you, everyone.
If I may have your attention, the ad hoc session will now commence. The purpose of today's assembly is to brief the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, at their request, on the Great Exodus. You may enter. On behalf of the Forum, I commend your heroic actions on the Magna Glaciers. We shall not soon forget your service to us and the people of Radzat-Han. The Satrap, whom we have informed of the refugees' new arrangements, sings your praises as well. As an expression of our gratitude, we will endeavor to answer your questions as fully and openly as we are able.
Then let us begin. First, it is the Forum's objective to ferry the life and knowledge of this star to the moon. Am I correct?
You are. It is for this purpose that Sharlayan has labored these many long years. We have collected biological samples and scientific records from across the star. When the time comes, they will be moved from their places in Labyrinthos and Numenon and conveyed to safety. Once that critical task has been accomplished, we will begin transporting the Sharlayan citizenry, which has been categorized into groups. The earliest arrivals are to ensure hospitable environs for those who come after. Following our people, we will send those of other nations in turn, beginning with our allies. Radzat-Han was foremost among these. But since the final days have already come to Thavnair, we saw fit to include the refugees with earlier groupings.
An ambitious plan. You have accounted for the safety of all nations and tribes, then?
As many as we can.
And how, pray tell, do you decide who to leave behind?
To journey beyond the sky is an unprecedented and immeasurably difficult endeavor. Introducing sources of inevitable conflict would condemn all to certain death.
questions as to the validity of that approach aside, are your plans proceeding apace? We're under the impression that your primary means of celestial transportation is incomplete.
If only in that it does not meet our optimal parameters, that is correct. This Ark, as some have taken to calling it, is fully operational and could be launched even today. However, the final days have progressed more quickly than we anticipated. At present, the ship is incapable of attaining speeds sufficient to meet our evacuation targets. Should we put the vessel into service, as it is now, we will be unable to travel to the moon and back quickly enough to complete the necessary number of trips. Precious lives and knowledge will be lost.
Seven hells. Is there anything to be done?
The ether burner, the primary means of propulsion once the craft is in the space between stars, is undergoing testing to determine whether it can be made more efficient. Though cargo is being loaded for the initial phase of the Exodus, we are prepared to continue our experimentation up to the day before launch, should it prove necessary.
What if the Scions were to solve your problem? We shall help devise a means to improve the ether burner's efficiency, on 2 conditions. If we succeed, you must allow us to meet with Hydaelyn.
"'Twas simple enough to deduce. You have a Concord, and so you would never have abandoned the Anti-Tower had you no other means of communication. One far more convenient, I suspect.
The second condition, also to be met upon our success, is that we be permitted to propose another use for your Ark.
Oh. That's how we're gonna fight Medion.
We would be at liberty to refuse this proposal.
Of course. If we cannot prove its merit to the 99 here, who are we to stake on it the lives of all peoples of this star?
Delightful as always, Master Alfino. Oh, we couldn't have asked for a finer plan. Allow us to solve this complex engineering problem of which we were entirely unaware until moments ago. What could possibly go wrong? The satire writes itself. Yet, what field has not benefited from a change in perspective? When we are at wit's end, what we need is not the same dry theories recited ad nauseam, but fresh inspiration. I, for one, have faith in my erstwhile students to provide it, and I find their terms to be perfectly acceptable.
He does remind you a lot of Louis Swall.
Order! Order! We have no time to waste on debate. I call a vote. All in favor of agreeing to the Scion's terms?
I mean, come on, it's the end of the world. What other choice do you have?
71 in favor, 28 against. The ayes have it. Fourcheneau, as the architect of this project, you are the best candidate to show them its current state. And bear in mind that regardless of your personal misgivings, this is the will of the Forum.
Very well.
I call this session to a close. Return to your tasks with urgency. The final days wait for none.
Sorry about not letting the rest of you in on my plan. I was admittedly thinking on my feet for the most part, but since we both require a means of communion with Hydaelyn and reaching Medion, in the spur of the moment I saw involving ourselves with the completion of the Ark as a way to work towards both objectives simultaneously. However, we must first keep our end of the bargain by solving the problem of the ether burner. I'd like to think it is not a challenge beyond our combined expertise, or at the least the expertise of our extended circle of associates. It might behoove us to learn how an ether burner actually works before we attempt to improve it, though. As instructed, I shall take you to see the ether burner. Meet me outside the Archean. I trust you can make your own way there. We are to wait here while our father arranges for us to use the next lift. Here, being Logisticon Alpha, where the atmospheric conditions of Labyrinthos are regulated. Water is drawn from underground and dispersed as vapor, stimulating the formulation of artificial clouds and rain. By manipulating the temperature and air circulation, they are able to create the ideal environment for the growth and preservation of the biological samples kept here. Hold on, how do you know so much about it? Why, father brought me down here as a child. What, and left me behind? Actually, you're the one who left me behind, when you went off somewhere with grandfather. The night before, I'd been asking father how clouds are made, so he decided to show me. It was fascinating. I peppered him with questions the entire time. 'Tis all too easy to take for granted the many interweaving aspects of the natural world, to grow inured to the wondrous. By having gained an understanding of the complex mechanisms employed by the Loporrits, recreating a similar environment, I have come to view such processes in a new light. The subterranean gardens of Labyrinthos, the lunar prison forged to contain the ancient Zodiac, the habitations built for all mankind neath the moon's surface, each unique yet undeniably similar. 'Tis no mere coincidence. Ever since Hydaelyn unfolded to us the grim fate that awaits Aetheris, every essential resource we could spare has been delivered into Labyrinthos, in preparation for the great exodus. But that is not all. It is also a testing ground for the technologies that will allow us to settle on distant stars. Though the Loporrits have endeavored to make the moon uninhabitable, that is not our final destination. Mankind must learn to propagate life where there is none, to thrive where it is all barren. Alas, time is not on our side. I have arranged for you to enter the central circuit. It is there that most of our preparations for the grand exodus are carried out, the construction of the Ark among them. Though our plans have been made public, access remains highly restricted. You, however, will not be subject to said restriction, and will have free rein to come and go as you please. Such was the will of the Forum, after all. We will prove ourselves worthy of their trust. Your trust. Then let us proceed. This is it, the central circuit. The ether burner is being constructed not far from here. Overseeing the work is Kokoig Donkoi, after whom the forge is named. Once the necessary introductions have been made, I shall leave you with him to discuss the particulars. This way. He looks lost in thought, although it seems he's hit something of a stumbling block.
I could swap them out. No, been there, done that. Damn near lost my eyebrows. Think, Coco, think! We'd be well on our way to paradise. Visionaries patting themselves on the backs for their grand accomplishments if you'd only think!
Yes, that does sound rather lovely.
Yeah! I mean, Master Force, you know, what a pleasant surprise. We're not blasting off already, are we?
The schedule remains unchanged, for better or worse. Which is why the Forum has elected to accept assistance in resolving the ether burner conundrum.
Not seen you lot down here before.
There are Archons among their number, but engineering is not their expertise. Nevertheless, the Forum concedes the slim possibility that they may have insights to offer. If not, you are at liberty to return them to the surface, by whatever means you see fit.
I assure you that won't be necessary. Now, about your troubles with the ether burner.
Aye, aye, I'll walk you through it. Suppose I could do with a change of pace. As the name ought to tell you, the ether burner burns ether, ambient or otherwise, and transforms it into motive force. Think of it like a giant bomb that never stops exploding. Even out in that black void where the ether's right sparse, it's strong enough to move our arc. And it probably won't kill you like an actual bomb. But it ain't perfect. According to my calculations, to travel to the moon and back fast enough for the Forum's liking, the conversion rate needs to be 6% more efficient. A measly 6%, you say? But if I could have squeezed even another 0.6 out of it, don't you think I'd have built it that way in the first place?
Hast thou consulted with the Loperites?
Yes, they too are conducting their own research, for lack of a ready answer. The moon's propulsion systems are considerable, naturally, yet they are commensurately massive. It is no easy feat to convert their technology into an efficient means of propulsion for a teeny tiny toy boat, as they say, and as I most certainly do not.
Yes, exactly! Damn it all, I asked for refined adamantite and they send me uppity rabbits with inscrutable, ancient, incompatible technology! You're trying to drive me mad!
Do you speak of Allegan refined adamantite, perchance?
You know of it?
Only in the most general terms, I'm afraid. 'Twas an alloy of Allegan make, but the secrets of its production were closely guarded. As I recall, the record stated it was vital to Dalamud's construction and launch.
Aye, that's the stuff. No material more conductive far as I know. Slotting some in's like blowing up a dam and watching the river of ether come rushing through. Ain't a living soul that knows how to make it, though. We were fortunate enough to salvage some for the ether burner, just a wee bit, mind, from a chunk of Dalamud that came hurtling into the Northern Empty during the calamity. With more, well, that extra 6% efficiency would be child's play. It's a crying shame that we've no other sources.
Surely the many shards of Dalamud scattered throughout Eorzea would suffice. Why not get the refined adamantite from them?
Oh, we tried, believe you me. But only a few specialised pieces would have had any in them to begin with. Drive calls from Ragnarok-class internment hulks. Those are the prize bits we really need. According to the Gleaners, getting to them means delving deep into the shards. And the defences are still very operational and very eager to blow them up. It's rough going in there, even for the cream. Not sure they'd make it out alive.
Weren't we near that part of the Ragnarok when we went to destroy Bahamut?
We were. The White Raven's ghost that haunts me. This sounds like a job for someone else. You want me to go and fetch the whatsits? The White Raven's...
Heavens, are you all right? You look pale as a... Well... Best put that battle from your mind for now. Deep breaths. That's it.
There are multiple internment hulks in Eorzea alone, so handling this ourselves may not be the most efficient option. Rather, if we could salvage adamantite from the shards simultaneously... Thancred, is the link shell we established before you went to Garlemald still active?
Of course. The floor is yours.
What's all this?
Gathering firewood, so to speak. We alone can accomplish little, but joined by others, we may yet build a bonfire to carry us heavensward. This is Alphino. The Scions have need of you.
Understood. I will contact the Lord Commander and dispatch our finest at once.
My sisters are somewhat preoccupied with the final days, so I will lead the Twelveswood expedition myself.
Are you aware of any other sources of refined adamantite?
Logically, such an invaluable alloy would have been utilized solely where absolutely necessary, in components intended to conduct or collect surpassing amounts of ether. Any extant instrumentation or devices would have likely found their way into the hands of etherologists or enthusiasts.
Magical artifacts of Allagan design? The Eastern Alliance will send word to one and all. Are there other ways we may offer aid? No shards of the Lesser Moon scar our soil, but our stake in this cause is no less for it.
Is there anything in Othard that might be of use to you?
What did you say? Oh, you got friends in far places, lad. Any road, if you're offering, I wouldn't say no to one of those Far Eastern sacred relics. Some of them can hold enough ether to summon a whole damn primal. Combine a source like that with the ether burner, and 3, 2, 1, kaboom!
I gather you heard his explosive enthusiasm. Might you secure us a suitable relic?
It shall be done. I know little of machines, but I promise we will do our utmost to gather the materials you need to finish your starship. I am glad for the work, in truth. Better to busy oneself than wait and fret over disasters foretold.
Then why are we all still standing about yapping? There's plunder for the taking. And I'm a born plunderer. I'll be an old Charlian before you know it. Start mixing the grog!
I'm certain that can be arranged. Thank you all, and do be careful.
Just like that.
Aye, just like that. Our refined adamantite is on its way. Now let us consider our next steps, shall we? There's yet much to be done.
He's like, oh, he's got this taken care of. You doing all this? I ain't getting me hopes up just yet. Time and time again, it seems Allegan something or other are either the cause of the solution or the solution to our problems. I agree. To think the self-same materials once used to launch Dalamud will now be used to help ferry mankind to the moon. There's a poetry in that. It's times like these we're reminded of how famous or infamous Alpha Node has become. Who'd have thought he could achieve so much with a single link pearl conversation? As we're expecting rather a lot of visitors in the near future, I'd best return to the surface and inform the relevant parties. I also have a contact of my own that might be worth a try. Oh, and who might that be? That's for me to know and you to find out. On that note, I leave matters here in your capable hands. Best of luck.
Our course of action is clear. We must harvest refined adamantite from the shards of Dalamud and procure arcane relics of Allegan make. Summon the best and brightest of our immortal flames and form an expeditionary party at once. Call upon the Sultan Sworn and Brass Blades for support as you must. Papashan, send word to the guilds. We will require the expertise of master artisans if we are to have any hope of identifying and recovering these elusive materials. Thiergeist, we have need of your stone torches. They are to assist the immortal flames in scouring the ruins and to help secure the surrounding areas. I trust I can count on your support.
As commander of the Stone Torches, my son Zimberk will personally see it done.
Pippin, I would have you lead the raiding party. Assemble your finest, and with Tizona's blade, clear the way. Lord Lolorito, I pray you take charge of the search for Allegan relics. Surely you know of some being traded on open or clandestine markets, or sleeping in collectors' vaults. Of course, I ask not that you do this out of the kindness of your heart. By all means, profit on the transactions. I wish you the joy of it. The final days descend upon our world. If circumstances are truly as dire as they say, Uldar's best efforts may be for naught. And yet, when we Eorzeans rose from the ashes to rebuild our broken realm, did we not learn one simple truth? That which seems all but impossible to overcome alone may yet be possible if we stand together. It was the Scions who united us then, and it is the Scions who call upon us now. Uldar will answer that call. We will summon our courage and join the fight for our world's future. You know your duties. I, Nanamo Ulnamo, 17th in the line of Ul, bid you good luck and Godspeed.
We're gonna see everybody in this cutscene, aren't we?
We fielded a goodly number. but our ranks are heavy with healers, and an abundance of restorative magics will be of little help in destroying Dalamud's defenses. Still, it has ever been thus with Gridania. We must steel ourselves for a protracted engagement.
In that case, might I suggest taking us along?
There she
Commander
is.
Hext, what are you doing here?
None of the shards in Girabania are big enough to hold an internment hulk. So we said to ourselves, why not lend our neighbors a hand? We thought you might be short on people with a talent for breaking things.
While it pains me to admit it, you are right. Our deficiencies so plain to see.
It might have been a lifetime ago, but I was once one of the scions assigned to the Shroud. I know this forest well. I know your people. And I know we will be stronger if we fight this fight together.
That's right, if you start in Gridania, she's like your guide. She's the first scion you meet.
Then I will impose upon you with a clear conscience. Come, let us speak of how to integrate our forces.
I won't let it all be for nothing. I promise you, Papalimo.
He's watching you from above, Hext. Papalima would be proud. Oh yeah. Manaline.
There you are. We've no time to waste, brother. Everyone has already...
Bahachafon.
That was a roar. A dragon's roar.
Is that Raise Vulgar? So we could seriously use Raise Vulgar's help. Or
And
Reaches.
So, in summation, the Eastern Alliance, as well as the Honorable Lord Lolorito himself, reached out to me for assistance in procuring these treasures of the divine, and I, in turn, do beseech the Confederacy for aid. Is that...
The Kojin.
Hancock?
Sorbonne.
What a surprise this is. And a fortuitous one at that. I have a favor to ask, you see.
Oh my god, Seiryu! Appreciate you doing all this, but I ain't getting my hopes up just yet. We're literally getting everybody. Though our friends are searching for refined adamantite and sacred relics, we will only know if they meet your requirements once it has arrived. In the meantime, is there aught else we might be of service? Ah, you've already done more than enough. If I had to say though, I could use someone who knows a thing or two about Allegan technology. You there, lad with the red eyes and matching hair. You seem to know more about the average scholar. Ha! If only Master Kokol knew how right he was. While he and Graha establish a rapport, why don't we help with preparations for the Great Exodus? Indeed, this would mean going above and beyond the terms of our arrangement, but I propose this not to curry favor. As confident as I am that we will succeed, we must be ready for every eventuality. This would also be an opportunity to familiarize ourselves with the logistics of traversing the Great Expanse, and if nothing else, it beats twiddling our thumbs while we wait for the adamantite. Well, ain't you a bunch of helpful buggers. If you have a mind to help lend a hand, I know where you might ought to go. Sharlayan Hamlet is lousy with researchers and scholarly types, busying themselves preparing for the Exodus. Pah! That lot need all the help they can get. Well then, off we go. From what I can tell, a lot of the people who actually live down here. I don't know how much we can offer, but I dare say they'll benefit from some of that fresh inspiration. Let's start by asking around, ideally without getting in anyone's way. Let's meet by the Aetheryte once our work is done. Fancy meeting you here, Auric. Our friends in the forum brought us to see their teeny tiny toyboat, which was quite impressive considering they didn't use any creation magics. What we're really interested in Aetheris is Aetheris itself, though now we find ourselves in a sort of funny underground miniaturized version of it. We were hoping the forum would give us the guided tour, but it appears they're rather preoccupied. Honestly, all that time to prepare and they're still not ready. I suppose we'll just have to show ourselves around, or at least that's what we were planning to do until we chanced upon Irionje and your good self. Since you're both dawdling about, engaged in idle chit-chat, perhaps you could show us a few points of interest. Won't that be fun? A tour of Labyrinthos, an unexpected yet prudent suggestion. Given similarities betwixt this artificial environment and Bestoy's burrow, it would be in our best interest to have the Loporrits acquaint themselves with those conditions deemed optimal by their Sharlayan collaborators. I fear, however, that continued reliance upon my limited knowledge would risk narrowing rather than broadening their perspectives. Mayhap thou art best suited to lead this venture. What a marvelous idea. Might we begin with great what's-it over the under? Ah yes, the what's-it. I shall leave its explanation to Auric. Build something so large without creation magics, it's positively stupendous. Perhaps we could direct our attention to its most important features. It's a little hard to see from here, but that golden pipe connected to the top of those tanks. All I can see through that window is another pipe at the bottom. This must be for purifying water drawn from below. Is that water I hear from inside that great big tube? It must be because of those cogs in that gigantic wheel at the top. That's how they draw up the water. There's probably some sort of spiral-shaped mechanism inside it too. Mushroom-like thing. That looks like the trees in Greatest Enslave. Hold on, that's a bit of a strange shape. It's thin at the bottom, but big and round at the top. Quite tall for something so unbalanced too. Now it makes sense. That's where they store the water. It's a water tower. So wherever you choose to live, you're never far from water. Oh dear, I worry we won't be able to procure the necessary amount. We can provide enough water to keep them from dying out completely, but it would appear they rely on it far more than we had anticipated. A few adjustments may be in order once we've calculated the average rate of consumption per individual. It may also be worth learning more about how exactly they obtain their water in the first place. Master Alphino spoke of machinery responsible for that feat during our journey through Locust Station. Alpha, did he not? Mayhap the Loperites will share his appreciation for the engineering marvel. Oh yes, that sounds absolutely splendid. We must journey beyond the sanctuary of Charlie and Hamlet. I shall lead the way. You mean we'll have to brave the untamed wilderness? A valid concern indeed. We could not help but notice the many dangerous-looking creatures with big, nasty teeth lurking beyond the safe confines of the settlement. We were not escorted here by burly custodians. I dread to think that what would have become of us. Regrettably, to manage a hungry predator with the aforementioned big, nasty teeth, Loperites may appear a potentially and rather appetizing source of sustenance. May I impose upon thee to assist in securing safe passage to Logisticon Alpha. For my part, I shall act as an escort to Living Way and Cooking Way. I entrust Singing Way and Growing Way to thy care. A more valiant protector they could not wish for. Godspeed. Aw. They're so tiny. If it's all the same to you, I'd rather not be eaten by some horrid beastie. Come along, Growing Way, to the water extraction what's it? Thank you so much. I really hope this water extraction is worth these harrowing experiences. All part of the fun, some might say, but I'd rather not be burnt to a crisp if it's all the same to you. Let's get moving. That building looks nice and solid and safe. My friends, I bid you welcome to Logisticon Alpha. Our destination doth at the lift's top. Pray follow me. Forgive me for asking, but why are we any closer to the kitchens? Come to think of it, why am I even here? Atmospheric manipulators are hardly my area of expertise. Marvelous, simply marvelous. So this is where the magic, or science rather, takes place. The perfect environment to sustain life, artificially created. The knowledge we'll gain here will be essential when we start looking for new stars for your kind to inhabit. Apparently, most of them don't even have all air for you to breathe. You're all very lucky that Aetheris just so happens to provide everything you need to thrive. Or did mankind turn out the way they are because of the available resources, I wonder? Either way, it's nothing short of miraculous, and I cannot wait to see more of it. This is the place, yes? The heady aroma was enough to guide me here. I've spotted several of the fruit and vegetable features in our compendium. I'd dearly love to try some, but I read that those who help themselves to a farmer's crops without permission are often caught and put into pies. Perhaps you could ask whoever's in charge if they would be willing to part with a few samples. What a wondrous fragrance. With luck, it'll have a flavor to match. Oh no, these are lemons, man. My tongue, is this poison? A lemon? You mean it's supposed to taste like this? How could something so similar to an orange be so revolting? It may be some time before my palate recovers from this ordeal. As such, I'd best call an end to this round of sampling, especially the part with the lemon muffin. Actually, I was wondering, do you know of any other place famed for their cuisine? Laminsa, the Culinarians Guild, a many less than savory establishment. Far East has oodles of noodles. Laminsa, go with that. Would that I had time to visit. The more I learn of Aetheris, the more I wish we could spare it from the final days. Alas, Heidelman's orders are to flee, not to resist. If only there was some other way. Leonji appears to be tailoring the Lupperits in preparation for an imminent departure. Ulrich, I trust thy time at Mariel Ergonomics did bear fruit. Our own efforts, too, were rewarded. We now possess an embarrassment of educational riches. No doubt our guests' relentless pursuit of knowledge could occupy them and us for a fortnight. Alas, time is of the essence. Let us return to Charlie and Hamlet forthwith. I shall gladly attend each and every Lupperit there, should further questions within my power to answer arise. Yes, Ulrich, that was indeed me verbaling a sigh to express my emotional state. Do you want to know why? Because I saw the reconstructed environmental data for Aetheris at Logiscon Alpha, that's why. A forest so lovely and so leafy. Are all your forests like that? The Black Shroud is quite leafy indeed, and a place of utmost tranquility. They're verdant, at least. The trees of Dravania stand particularly proud. You should see the forest of the first. One was purple. I say, with a star so wonderful, it comes as no surprise that you're reluctant to leave it behind. I was a fool to think otherwise, to assume that the moon was something worth being proud of. How ridiculous we must seem to you, trying so hard yet achieving so little. Not at all. Thy words are no less worthy for their uniqueness. I thought I heard tiny voices. Thancred. How didst thou fare? Oh, I was able to glean a fair bit from the researchers while helping to move their cargo. Preparations have proceeded without interruption here, despite news of the coming end. We have the Form's leadership to thank for that. That doesn't mean people aren't worried, though. Quite the opposite. Knowing disaster could strike at any moment, they hurry to complete their work, equally aware that a single error could be the difference between life and death. We could hardly tell them there's no cause for concern. Perhaps not, though aided by our goodly growing way, we may yet find other ways to lighten their burden. Me, but of use to people. I'm honored that you would think me so capable, but I'm not sure that I'm up to the challenge. Nevertheless, I believe in thee. If you say so, I suppose it can't hurt to try. I passed someone moping in the western plaza that looked to be in need of a helping paw. Perhaps you should start with him. 'Tis a good place as any. Come. You'd best go with them. I don't think Urianger misjudged him, but Growing Way does look like he could use some emotional support. I still have work to complete elsewhere. I trust that I won't return to find any Lupperits in tears. troubled research. Oh, can I help you? It is you who would help me. Is my anxiety truly so oblivious? A burden shared is a burden eased. Pray tell us of thy troubles. Those little fellows do look like good listeners. I am an engineer, you see, and what they say of the ship is that it's the sum of decades of Charlian ingenuity, that it's built with peerless Allagan technology, is all true, but I know that none of that's a guarantee. We've never before launched a star-faring vessel, let alone flown it in the great expanse. All the tests we've run have been on the ground. Only operational personnel and cargo will be aboard for the first voyage. But even so, if it fails us then, what can we do? And if it doesn't, it could fall apart on the next flight, or the next one after that. We've done everything we can to prevent that from happening, but it hardly matters. We thought the Aether Burner's design was flawless too, and look how that turned out. Thou art familiar with these most daunting technologies, and thus thou hold the power to allay his fears. Oh, I'm not sure about that, but maybe you could tell me if there's any aspect of the ship's design that you're especially worried about. Our ability to walk about and perform our tasks. For one, I devised a means by which to employ gravity. A spatio-temporal spell to regulate the environment. But what if it's not strong enough? What if everyone floats away and begins crashing into things just as soon as we've left the star? Ah, gravitation. Maybe I can be of help after all. Up there is not so different from down here, you see. The same rules apply, and if you consider them part of one great big cosmo, rather than separate places. Yet if Thancred's tale be true, still others would benefit from the inside spawn of experience. Might I prevail upon the lawbirds to attend them? An excellent idea, if I do say so myself. There is naught we'd like more than to ease the hearts of the people of Aetheris, and learn more about them while we're at it. Glad am I to hear it. Gather thy companions and bring them hither. Pray seek out the distressed and the apprehensive, and inform them that help is in good hands. I shall await them here, that I might introduce each to a suitable operate. Oh, I do so look forward to that. A place for every lopper, and every lopper in their place.